Hello, welcome to the Low Budget Review Show. I'm your host, Eric Smith, and I'm here to talk about another fantastic book that I read recently, and that would be Smile No More by James A. Moore. There you go. Creepy looking clown. Smile No More is about Rufo the Clown. He's a character that appeared in an earlier book by James A. Moore, the Serenity Falls story. He's a small character in that. This is his story. Fills us in on Rufo the Clown, who originally was a young man by the name of Cecil Phelps. And this book is written, each chapter follows a certain form, which I call the recent past, the present, and the older past. Just because that's how it seems to take place. The first part of each chapter is about Rufo slash Cecil searching for his sister. Now, what you need to know is Cecil died 50 years ago or so and came back to life. He escaped death. So he hasn't had contact with his family for over 50 years, and he wants to reconnect, so he's looking for his sister Millie. So the first part of each chapter, until you get to the very end, is about looking for Millie. And that's the recent past, because after that part of the chapter is finished, we get to the present, which seems to take place shortly after what we've just read in the search for Millie. Depending on where in the book we are, it's anywhere from maybe a few months, kind of hard to tell, to just a few weeks after what we just read. So we read about the present. I'll get to that in a second. And then the third part of each chapter is the older past, where we go all the way back and we learn about how Cecil ran away from home, joined the circus, and some things that happened to him before, during, and after his death. And basically, Cecil, ran away from home, joined the circus. He wanted to be an escape artist, but had to start out as a clown. So he came up with the character Rufo, creepy looking Rufo, and some things happened, and Rufo died. But being an escape artist, it took him a long, long time, but he finally escaped death. And then some other things happened. I'm not going to spoil anything. I don't think anything I'm talking about now is a spoiler. So after a bunch of stuff, he decides to look for his sister to reconnect. So Rufo is undead. In Serenity Falls, where he has a little tiny part, he's pretty much a bad guy. In Smile No More, I felt he was sympathetic for a while. There's a point where he's no longer sympathetic, but at the beginning he's definitely sympathetic. He's a guy looking for his sister. He's a killer. I mean, you can't deny that. And he likes to punish people that he feels are doing wrong in the most grotesque ways. This is a very violent and bloody book. But he's still sympathetic because, one, he's punishing people for perceived wrongs, which are wrongs. His punishment might be a bit extreme. And so the punishment, he's looking for his sister, it's all sympathetic, but there comes a point where he does something that is no longer sympathetic. I personally love it. I love that the author, James A. Moore, went there, took it that far. A lot of people might find it, might think he went too far. There are certain things that people don't accept in their fiction sometimes. It's not the case here, but a lot of people that I know who like horror fiction always say animals should never be killed, which is odd. It's fiction, and we don't mind the most horrific murders of human beings, but they get upset when something happens to an animal. Not the case here, but something along those lines. So Rufo's not too sympathetic after that, but still very entertaining. James A. Moore's writing is fantastic. He really gets into the characters, even the peripheral characters. You get a little sense of who they are. He gives them depth, and we learn all about Rufo. We get to the end of the book, the 3 timelines all come together, so we're reading about the present. I like to throw in air quotes every once in a while. There they are. Those weren't bunny rabbits, those were air quotes. We're in the present, and Rufo's, not being really sympathetic anymore, but still quite entertaining. So I say pick this up. I did some checking for you fine folks to make sure that this was still available, and you can get a trade paperback copy on Amazon. This is a limited edition copy that I got a few years ago, back when I had a budget. So I had to check and see if there were actually copies available, and you can get it from Amazon. So in an earlier video, I talked about some James A. Moore. He wrote a fantasy novel that I reviewed. This is more what I'm familiar with as far as his writing goes, the horror. And it's definitely horrific, which I love. Lots of bloody violence. And Rufo's a very interesting character. I would read another Rufo book if Mr. Moore were so inclined to write one. I mentioned again in that earlier video that James A. Moore has a character named Jonathan Crowley who's in a number of his books. Oh, and he makes a cameo appearance in here, sort of. And Crowley, love the character. Read anything about him, and I think maybe that could go for Rufo too. Just a fascinating character, and there's a lot of story that's not told in here. So he could take Rufo and move forward from what happened after this, or go back and fill in some of those blank spaces from his past, from Rufo's past. So, well, there was a big pause. But anyway, so come on, people. Pick this up. It's fantastic. If you're a lover of horror, if you're creeped out by clowns, it's a great book. I recommend anything by James A. Moore, but I'm not going to review everything the guy's written. I got to mix it up. But this one, I just finished it a few days ago. It's fantastic, and I really wanted to talk about it. So, smile no more. And as always, please leave any questions, comments, or corrections in the comments down below. And I keep forgetting to ask you to please like, share, and subscribe. Maybe if enough people watch these, I could become the medium budget review show host and not just the low budget. I could get another piece of paper and maybe a nicer font, hire an artist for $1 to write something a little nicer than that. Anyway, that's Smile No More by James A. Moore. There you go, and keep reading. Thanks.